What's up there, Workforce? Chris here with Work to Game, and now that we are past the Eden Raid, we have basically just a little more content in Final Fantasy, and I wanted to talk about WoW Classic. So for those of you playing Final Fantasy right now, it'll come at a great time. It's coming August 27th. So just as a reminder to the enormous number of 14 people that hang out on this channel, that means that we'll be done with basically the entire initial content serving of Shadowbringers, with plenty of time to get it clear and get what we want from it, and then move on to trying out WoW Classic. For WoW players, 8.2 looks like a positive turn for BFA, in my opinion. I don't know that I would enjoy it more than Classic. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what class I'm going to play, and then maybe why. And I would love to hear down below what class you guys will play, because there's a balance here. Where do you play what you played the first time, if you played the first time? So I played in 2004. I played a Night Elf Druid on my very first account ever. And I shared that account with my brothers because we only had one computer in the house and we could split our allowance to pay for the account. And then once we got access to laptops as we went into college and everything, before vanilla was over, I had moved on to my own account. And we restarted as Horde, and I moved to being a Tauren Druid, and that has been my main for all but the Burning Crusade, where I switched to, I was with a raid group that was Alliance, rather than transfer my character or anything like that. I don't remember if that was possible. I rolled a Night Elf Hunter and ran DPS with that raid group, and then when I moved to a different raid group for the Lich King moving forward, I ended up moving back to Horde side and have played Druid ever since. So logically, I would play Druid, but as I think back, I don't think that I want my class experience to be just a trip down nostalgia lane, and I don't know that I want the memories that I have of being Druid to be messed with. I think I kind of just like them where they are, and I have these memories, whether or not that's how it happened, it doesn't matter. They were my memories, and I enjoy looking back fondly on what vanilla meant to me. And so I think I do want to play, but I'm going to play Hunter. And the reason for that is it's another class that I've always identified with in games, I've always enjoyed. And my brother was a Hunter in vanilla, and some part of me was always a little envious of his experience with Rockdalar and Lockdalar, the big, long, epic Hunter quest. I liked the way Hunter worked back then. I like weird, tedious things like the ammunition and all that. So there's all these quality of life improvements they've made that I think when they added them, I was like, oh, thank goodness. But in hindsight, I think kind of gave me joy. So I liked it in Burning Crusade. And so this sets me up that if at the end of Classic they decide to move our characters into Burning Crusade, I'll have a Hunter, and then I can decide if I want to do that experience again or I want to leave it alone, like I've chosen to leave my vanilla Druid experience alone. And I get a chance to kind of do the prequel to what I did in TVC and see what Hunter was like at the time of vanilla with some hands-on experience. So I think that's my plan, is to play Hunter. I normally, when an expansion comes out, marathon to cap or close to it. I don't think you can do that with vanilla. So I plan on just playing my normal MMOs each week. So I do a little bit of WoW Live, and then I do a fair bit of Shadowbringers with Final Fantasy, and then I will probably be letting Live take a pretty big backseat, and I assume Shadowbringers at that point for Final Fantasy XIV will be kind of in a lull as we wait through until October at the earliest for patch 5.1, and that's a great time to get a lot of WoW Classic in, and I really look forward to enjoying that. I would love to know what you guys play. My brothers played, the one played Warrior and Warlock, the other played mostly just Hunter, and I played Druid and Hunter, and that's kind of my experience of WoW over the years. WoW Classic, I remember being incredibly tedious. I remember the sense of reward when you capped a rep or when you got your faster mount. There's just so much to the game that I remember that it was a reward for the sake of the reward. You weren't necessarily saving a bunch of realms and doing all this epicness. There wasn't really catch-up mechanics. It just was what it was. You either made it to cap or you didn't, and everything was an immense grind for the sake of it. And that was, I mean, that's more a sign of what MMOs were in 2004, not just WoW. And I'm looking forward to seeing if that's something that I enjoy. I do think there's a chance that I'm just like a fair number of people where we're going to play for a bit. It's not going to meet expectations, and our reality and expectation gap is going to cause us to maybe not stick around long term. But I'm willing to give it a shot, as open-minded as I can. I appreciate the labor of love that the people at Blizzard on that team have put into it. I appreciate the work, and it is definitely something that I want to support from Blizzard. And I think it's important that we're vocal when they do something we like, because we've been more than vocal with things they don't like in the last few years. And if they're doing something to turn that image around, be it release things they've been working on for a while or start new projects, as we hear those announcements this November at BlizzCon, I think that's a fair thing. I hope Blizzard can have success. I hope the Classic team is proud of what they're putting out, and I hope that it's everything that we think it can be. The initial response to the beta and everything like that has been overwhelming. So I really hope that holds. I think there's a big change in what Classic games mean now that we have tools like streaming and things like that, and now that there's a trip down nostalgia lane, because there's this entire group of gamers in their 30s and older that 2004 didn't feel like it was that long ago, and so for us it's a chance to go back and play something that really, games have changed a lot since. So really looking forward to that. I hope that it's I hope that it sets a trend, and we can do things like remaster Final Fantasy XI and remaster, XYZ. We're starting to see that come through. There's a big wave of them right now, not just at Blizzard with Warcraft 3 and WoW Classic, but there's a big wave of games being kind of brought back to life. And there was like an Age of Empires tournament on Twitch the other day. And so I just would love to kind of see more of that. It's just neat to see diversity in gaming. And that's really my thoughts. So what class are you guys going to play, and why? It's a weird blend between what game experience do you like, which is normally enough to make that decision, and how does it fit within your nostalgia factor? Either you wished you'd played Classic and this is what you would have gotten to do if you had, or there's an experience in Classic gaming like tanking or healing or DPS that you want to go back and do, so you're going to limit your job search to that. Or you want to play exactly what you did play, exactly the way you played it, and see if you can do things differently or the same or anything like that. There's a lot of reasons to pick a class with Classic that wouldn't normally make sense when you're picking up a brand new off-the-shelf, current year in MMO for the very first time. So I would love to kind of hear that thought process down below, not just the class name, if you don't mind sharing. But either way, the class name is fine. Thank you guys so much for commenting. I look forward to kind of seeing anybody that wants to play Classic, what your plans are with that, how long you think it'll last, and if you're going to go ahead and give it a shot. My name is Chris with Work to Game. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.
Have you ever wondered what's on the other side of the camera from a YouTuber? Because sometimes it's really bad. Like right now, my house is under renovation, and so just to show you, there's like a desk with stuff that doesn't have a home, and then there's other stuff that doesn't have a home, and then there's a few things that do have a home. And some days, this is 100% clean around me, and other days, there is literally a mess as close as right here, just out of frame.